Hi everyone, it's Alicia, welcome back. So in some of my older IVF videos, I did get this recurring question on what protocol our fertility specialist put me on. We had a successful IVF about 3.5 years ago that produced our two beautiful twins, Jacob and Elijah. They're 2.5 years old now. They are so much work, but so much fun and worth everything that we went through. And so I'm not gonna go too much into my fertility history. I did already do quite a few videos on our IVF journey, so I will link all those below in the description box. So if you're new here and haven't checked those out, definitely go to that if you wanna know a little bit more about our history. But just briefly, if you are new here, me and my husband tried for 11 years to conceive a child. We had no success on our own. I was hitting like late 38 and starting to feel that pinch, like, oh my goodness, I'm getting close to 40, we're still not pregnant, we need to see what's going on. So we did, after interviewing a few fertility clinics, we did decide on one, went there, they had me do some blood work and also did an ultrasound. So they did discover that I had uterine fibroids, and one of the blood tests they had me take was a test for my anti-Mullerian hormone, or AMH for short. And this basically checks your ovarian reserve. So a normal AMH level is anywhere between 1 to 3, just depending on your age, because of course it would decrease as you're older. Anything below 0.5 is considered not low, but very low. And I was at a 0.4, so I was very low. My IVF doctor said, you know, don't worry too much about this. Just from an IVF doctor's perspective, this just means that during egg retrieval, we probably won't get that many eggs, but you do have eggs. My only recommendation to you is to remove the fibroids and start IVF right away if that is something you want to do, or at least freeze your eggs. So what me and my husband decided to do, just because we were hard-headed and just felt like, you know, this is going to happen naturally, we just knew it, is we had my fibroids removed, and then I did some acupuncture as well. We tried for 6 months, still didn't happen, so we did return back. We just decided just to go straight through IVF. We didn't want to stall any time and try with IUI because my fibroids, a few did grow back. So we just went straight to IVF. So what I wanted to share with you is the protocol that my doctor put me on for having low ovarian reserve. So I'm going to show a picture of a sample of the schedule. So this is what the schedule looks like. As you see, we started in June of 2018. So I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit of the timeline and the medications that they put me on. So we did 2 egg retrievals. We paid for a 2-cycle plan. So we did 2 egg retrievals, but only 1 frozen embryo transfer, which were our twins. So let's just kind of go through the different medications they put me on. I did write some notes, so I'm gonna look down at my notes just so I can kind of stay focused here. So the first medication they put me on was birth control. Now at first I thought that was kind of odd for someone who's trying to get pregnant. Why would you put me on birth control? But the purpose is so that the clinic can be in complete control of your cycle. So birth control prevents ovulation. So they didn't want to have any kind of pre-ovulation happening. They wanted to make sure that I wasn't ovulating so they could control my cycle. So I was on birth control probably close to 3 weeks, just so they can kind of get, you know, my schedule all in line and, you know, fit me in because I wasn't the only patient. So then after I was on birth control for a little while, I went in to have a baseline ultrasound so they could just check to see how many follicles I had, which I only had a few. I think I had like maybe 3 or something like that, or 2. And then they also offered some classes just to kind of give you like a rundown of everything that's gonna happen. Then the second medication they introduced me to was this medication called Lupron. Now you get all your medications ahead of time. It's not like you go to the clinic and they hand you the medications that you need at that time. I did order, I'll show a picture of the big package of medications. You order it ahead of time and then they just tell you on the schedule what you need to take and when. So the second medication, like I said, was Lupron. So they had me on 10 units of this where I injected this every morning on the side of my stomach. And the purpose of Lupron is the same thing that birth control essentially does, which is to prevent ovulation. So I was on the 10 units of Lupron. And about 3 days after that, they had me just stop taking birth control, and Lupron would go ahead and take care of that role of preventing ovulation. About a week of just being on Lupron, they had me begin my stimulation medications. So I took the follicle stimulation medication called Gonal F. So that was the third medication. And this was something I injected at night. I did have my husband kind of help me with this one every once in a while, but being the control freak that I am and then getting stuck with the needle, I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Because it kind of got tense a few times. So they had me on the highest dose of Gonal F. So I was on 450 IUs of Gonal F. So I took the Gonal F at night, and I had to decrease my Lupron in the morning down to 5 units. During that time, they introduced me to my fourth medication, which was called Letrozole. And this is what I took orally by mouth. It was a pill. It was 5 milligrams. Letrozole is kind of a unique medication. It made me a little bit nervous because they call it a chemolytic medication. I'm not sure what the right word is, but Letrozole is used for the treatment of breast cancer. But for fertility, it actually is an ovulation induction medication. So it helps with ovulating. So I was on Gonal F of 450 units, Lupron of 5 units, and Letrozole tablets for about 5 days. And then I stopped the Letrozole, and then I continued to take Lupron and Gonal F for an additional 11 days. After I went in and did my ultrasound, they saw that my follicles were ready, so that at this period of time, I could go ahead and stop taking the Gonal F and Lupron, and I would inject myself with HCG. And I can't remember, I think that was also in my stomach. I don't think I had to do it in the back, I did it in my stomach. And that one I had to take late at night, so I had to take it around like 11 p.m. And that one I had a mix, and it was, I remember being so stressed that I was gonna get it wrong, because this was gonna make me ovulate so I could be ready for egg retrieval. So about 2 days after the HCG injection, they had me come in for egg retrieval. My first egg retrieval, they retrieved 3 eggs, and 2 of them made it to blastocysts that they froze. So since we paid for a 2-cycle plan, and my fertility doctor basically foresaw them not being able to retrieve a lot of eggs, he just went on and had me do my second egg retrieval before we even talked about transfer. So I just stopped taking all medications, and I waited for my period to happen. So once my period started, I called the clinic. They said, go ahead and get right back onto your birth control. And so the second schedule was very, very similar, pretty much the same type of timeline. The only difference was the Letrozole. So when it was time to take Letrozole, instead of taking 5 milligram tablets by mouth daily for 5 days, they had me take all 10 tablets at once. So a total of 25 milligrams all at once. And I had to call the clinic because I was like, is this right when we take all these pills? And they said, yes. That was my best cycle. So like I said, everything was the same with the birth control, the Lupron, the Gonal F. The only thing that was different was the Letrozole. And that cycle produced more follicles. I have to go back and look at my videos. I probably should have looked this up before I started sit down and recording this, but I think they saw like 9 follicles or something like that. And they were able to retrieve 6 eggs, and all 6 made it to blastocysts. So we had a total of 8 eggs frozen for us. You don't even know how happy I was. I never thought that would be in our future. I thought we'd probably get 2 eggs, and I still always felt like we'd have 1 baby at least out of this, but I never thought we would get 8 eggs, or I should say 8 embryos. So yeah, that was the schedule that they put me on. We ended up doing our frozen embryo transfer about, I would say, 2 months after we were done with all the egg retrievals. That was a great thing about frozen embryo transfer. Not only is it typically more successful for working, but also you can kind of plan out your life a little bit. I was really, really busy with work. So I wanted things to kind of slow down so that I could relax and be able to do the transfer successfully, not try to rush. And so we did our frozen embryo transfer September 26th of 2018, and I gave birth to my twin boys June 3rd, 2019. So this whole process from start to finish probably took about a year. So I would say a start of actually doing the IVF and not taking all the medications to the birth of our children. So, and now we have still some embryos frozen. So if we want to have another child later, we have more attempts to try. But I hope this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I do have a few other IVF videos that I have in mind that I do want to make, because I do have a lot of interest in that still on my channel. But if you are new here, definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already. Really give this video a like so I know that you like these type of videos, and I will see you all next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.